Here on the Champs-Élysées are a lot of France's most famous fashion names, but many of them no longer make anything in this country. This small fashion house still does 100% of its production in small ateliers here in Paris, but CEO Amy Ivary says the famous savoir-faire they rely on is dying out.
The numbers speak for themselves. There were 1 million people working in textiles and fashion in France, and now there are 5,000. Someone has to try and revive that creativity, which we're losing every day.
She isn't very impressed with politicians' attempts to save it either.
No, not at all. They're a long way from the reality of the problems small businesses have, especially when they're just starting up and hoping to develop.
A few steps down the fashion price chain, Hélène Leroy owns nightwear business Bluet. Here all the sewing is done in-house. She used to use local workshops, but they kept going out of business. She blames inconsistent politicians.
We're ready to engage with them. If they help, that's great, but the danger is the law changes all the time. So you base yourself on something to hire someone, saying yes, I can afford this, because there's help and tax breaks. Then suddenly there's no help and no tax breaks.
The problem, as Leroy admits, her product is still pretty high-end. Pyjamas start at €60, and the cost of labour in France means she can't really bring that price down. But are French customers really prepared to pay more?
Firstly, I have a real respect for French production and a real faith in the French ability to produce at a fair cost. So there are fair profit margins and a decent price.
It depends on what. I produce in France myself. I make things and sell them in France, so I should defend it. But I know people who can't afford it and just buy things made in China. Well, they have to think of their wallets.
That, of course, is the problem. Made in France might be a vote winner, but in tough times, people just can't afford to put their money where their votes are.